Alright, hey everyone. Today I'm going to be counting down my top 10 creature features. Now, I'm not going to be including kaiju movies like Pacific Rim, Godzilla, Gamera, Cloverfield, and also no alien movies, so unfortunately, as much as I love critters, it won't be included. My number 10 is Lake Placid. This movie doesn't do a great job at horror or comedy, but it's good enough at both to be entertaining, and there are moments where it crosses over into so bad it's good territory. The writing is hit and miss, but the cast is solid. Brendan Gleeson and Oliver Platt have some fun banter, and Betty White is just freaking hilarious.
Well, your husband burned you. You didn't by any chance lead him to the lake blindfolded.
If I had a dick, this is where I'd tell you to suck it.
That being said, the best thing about this movie is the creatures. A mix of animatronics and early CGI bring these crocs to life in a way that those cheap sci-fi sequels never could.
Just settle down. Look out!
My score is 2.8 out of 5. My number 9 is Anaconda. A wise man once said that a movie doesn't have to be good to be awesome, and this movie is proof of that. Anaconda is exactly what I want from a shitty sci-fi movie. The practical effects are solid, and the CGI is bad but not awful. The anacondas don't quite look like real snakes, and they don't act like real snakes, but they make for good monsters. Jon Voight's attempt at what I think is supposed to be a Paraguayan accent is awful, but his performance is just the perfect amount of cheese.
Babies. All of them babies.
Well, how do we get them off the boat?
Come on, babies. Come on. Thank you, Mama. Come on. So young. I guess so lethal.
The acting is pretty good overall. The plot is surprisingly character-driven, and yet it never sacrifices character consistency for plot reasons. There are never any moments where I'm asking myself, why is everyone being so stupid? And most importantly, this movie is entertaining as hell. My score is 2.9 out of 5. Number 8 is Underwater. This is just going to be word for word what I said in my 2020 list, so just a heads up. It doesn't exactly reinvent the wheel. The plot is pretty generic and it can be predictable at times, but it makes up for it by being a well-crafted monster movie. It does a good job of creating a tense atmosphere, actually right from the beginning. Like within the first few minutes, the characters are immediately thrown into danger. Now, unfortunately, that means we don't get to spend much time with them before they're thrown into danger, but we get to know most of them throughout the movie, so it's fine. The cast is solid. Kristen Stewart and Vincent Cassel both stand out, and TJ Miller has a couple funny moments. Creature design is solid, and we even get to see, well, okay, obviously spoiler alert, the big one looked pretty familiar.
Core meltdown in progress. 1 minute until meltdown.
We had 60 seconds.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Overall, Underwater is a pretty solid creature feature. My score is 3 out of 5. Number 7 is The Meg. This movie isn't good enough to be great or bad enough to suck, but it's plenty entertaining. The acting is solid across the board, most of the characters are likable, and the ones who aren't at least feel like real people. Rainn Wilson definitely steals the show. The writing is surprisingly good, and the dialogue is kind of underrated, honestly. There's some solid humor, and I honestly just love how honest everyone is with each other.
Hello, Skipper.
You must be the crazy guy.
Now, who called me that?
My mom, Dr. Hiller.
Yeah, well, I'm not crazy. I'm just saying things no one else has.
That's the definition of crazy.
Oh, and the action is great too.
You like that? Please!
At the end of the day, this is a movie that knows exactly what it is and isn't trying to be anything else. My score is 3.1 out of 5. My number 6 is Piranha 3D. This is a rare remake that improves on the original. Piranha 3D is exactly what I expect from a summer monster horror blockbuster. It's well made, cheesy, plenty gory, and just a whole lot of fun. Now, there are some dumb moments here and there, and you get the standard gratuitous nudity that is seemingly required of most horror movies, but that doesn't take away from the experience. Director Alejandro Aja, I really hope I said that right. He is a horror veteran. He also directed the Hills Have Eyes remake, so he knows what he's doing here. Score is 3.5 out of 5. Number 5 is The Shallows. This is probably my favorite shark movie after Jaws. It gets off to a slow start, but Blake Lively carries it until the shark shows up. Speaking of the devil, it doesn't behave like a real shark, but that's pretty standard at this point in film history. Like, that was the case even with Jaws, so I don't really mind. Anywho, once the shark shows up, it gets very suspenseful and very creepy, and I was on edge. The shark looks really good, and the cinematography is great. There's some really cool shots. My score is 3.6 out of 5. My number 4 is Crawl. Now, most creature features need human drama to keep things interesting because the monsters are just animals, and animal antagonists are generally less interesting than human antagonists. Unfortunately, that's one of the biggest areas where creature features tend to fail. Thankfully, Crawl's human drama works. Kaya Scodelario, I hope I said that right, and Barry Pepper are both great. They have strong chemistry and they feel like real people. Like, I believe that these two are father and daughter. The alligators are brought to life with a combination of practical effects and CGI. Practical stuff looks great, and the CGI is okay. It's not great, but it's not that bad. There are a couple moments where a gator looks obviously CGI. But for the most part, it looks pretty good. And considering this movie had a budget of $13.5 million, it's pretty impressive, honestly. For comparison, The Shallows had an estimated budget of $17 to $24 million. Piranha 3D had a budget of about $24 million. And The Meg cost between $130 and $178 million to make. And unlike a lot of animal attack movies, the gators aren't unrealistic. They're on the bigger side, but they're still well within the limits of how big gators get in real life. And best of all, they get the gator's behavior right, at least for the most part. They are slower and can't hear as well on land. They don't hunt humans and normally don't attack humans, but they will if they're protecting their nest. And my personal favorite, when a gator chomps down on something and it's in the water, it does a barrel roll in the water. It spins to disorient whatever it just bit down on. And they got that right. I love it. My score is 4.4 out of 5. Number 3 is Tremors. Now, this movie is something special. It blends a lot of different genres together, and it pulls it off. The cast is solid, especially Kevin Bacon. Everyone feels like real people, and they're relatable if not likable. Like, most of them are likable, and the one who's not is the bratty little kid, and even he feels like a real person. The action is fun and suspenseful. The humor is consistently funny, the pacing is great, and the graboids themselves look awesome. Unlike the sequels, the graboids in this movie were brought to life entirely by practical effects, and they look fantastic. They balance firmly on the line between feeling very alien and yet feeling like something that could have theoretically evolved on Earth. My score is 4.5 out of 5. Number 2 is The Descent. You know your creature feature is great when your creatures don't show up until over halfway into the movie and nobody cares. This is honestly one of the most claustrophobic movies I've ever seen. It's up there with the original Alien. Even in the first half, when it's just these ladies exploring the cave, it's claustrophobic as hell. You feel the tension and you feel the danger.
Okay, come on. Just slowly, okay? Okay, come on.
The rope bag. I forgot the rope bag.
Okay. Okay. Okay, fuck the rope bag. Okay, move now!
The crawlers make for some very unique monsters. As explained by, I think, director Neil Marshall, they're cavemen who never left the caves. Or at least descendants of cavemen who never left the caves. Whatever. Like the graboids, they feel very alien to us, and yet they seem like something that could have evolved naturally on Earth. The acting is great. The characters are all well-defined. Unlike most horror movies, there's no cheesy, underdeveloped, forced love story. And the sets they used to simulate caves look phenomenal. Like, if I hadn't seen the behind-the-scenes stuff, I could have sworn they actually filmed it in caves. On top of that, the ending. I fucking love the ending. And I mean the original ending, not the bullshit trimmed down ending they used for American theaters, because the original ending wasn't happy enough. It was too much of a downer. Shut the fuck up. Every horror movie ends with a happy ending, or at least most of them do. Let us have this. Let us have something different for once. And Neil Marshall did. And I love it. The score is 4.9 out of 5. My number 1 is Jaws. Honestly, what else could it possibly be? This movie is one of Steven Spielberg's masterpieces. It's up there with Saving Private Ryan and Jurassic Park. The acting is great, the musical score is great, the editing earned its Oscar, and the cinematography is fantastic.
Japanese submarine slammed 2 torpedoes into our side, Chief. He was coming back from the island of Tinian to Leyte, just delivered the bomb, the Hiroshima bomb. 1,100 men went into the water. The vessel went down in 12 minutes.
Honestly, I can go on and on about this movie, but there's not much I can say about it that hasn't been said 1,000 times already. It's a masterpiece. The score is 5 out of 5. Hey guys, let me know what you think. What are your favorites? Like and subscribe and all that shit, and stay safe.